Gretchen Lightfoot, and I teach yoga and silver sneakers here at the Monon Community Center. And we're going to do a short 30-minute practice. It's suitable for all levels. It's good when you can't squeeze in a full hour or hour and a half long yoga practice. So let's get started. We're going to start in Sukhasana. And this is called easy pose, not so easy for everybody. What happens when you sit with your shins crossed and your ankle bones underneath your knees is the knees kind of creep up by the ears slightly. So if that happens to you, you just get yourself a little block and you elevate your pelvis. And that allows the groin to relax slightly. And then once you get into your easy seat, you're just going to close down your eyes for a moment and really connect with your breath. This might be the first time all day that you've taken a full inhale, a full exhale. So just close the eyes to go inside. Yoga is a work in, not a work out. Sometimes we need that little buffer. So once you get here, just settle down. Breathing in and out through the nose if possible. And before we really get started, take those shoulders and place them up by the ears. Exaggerate that for a moment. And then take them back and then lower them down. And try to keep those shoulders away from the ears as much as possible throughout the practice. So just imagine that you could take the tips of the shoulder blades toward one another down the back. Few more smooth, steady, even inhales and exhales here. And next exhalation, just draw that chin down toward that notch between your collarbones. Don't force it, just float the chin down organically. And the next inhale, just take that left ear to that left shoulder. Again, not forcing. And then next exhale, chin comes back to that notch between the collarbones. And next inhale, right ear to right shoulder. So you can keep your eyes closed or keep them open, whatever feels good to you. And then exhale, chin toward the chest. And just continue moving an ear to a shoulder with each inhalation and chin toward the chest with each exhalation. Just lengthening out the muscles in the neck, the head, the neck, the shoulder. They're all connected, and we carry a lot of tension in that spot in our body, so we want to honor that as much as possible. Let's go one more time over to the right, and then chin back down toward the chest for a moment. And then slowly lift up. So we try to keep our chin parallel to the floor in yoga. I'm going to slide off my block for just a moment. I'm going to scoot it out of the way here. So I'm going to bring my hands to my thighs for a moment. And I'm just going to sit here for another moment, pausing, hitting that reset button. And if you're feeling the need to ground yourself, you have your palms down in yoga. If you're feeling open and receptive, you roll them up to the ceiling. So I'm usually needing to ground myself just a bit. And we'll stay here for just one more inhale, one more exhale before we move on. And then we're going to start to rotate the shoulders over the bowl of the pelvis. So it's just a gentle unwinding here. It's like a rolling cat-cow, but seated upright. And I like to inhale as I move forward and exhale as I take it back. So you're kind of rolling on your sitting bones here. And if it's too much, you just back off and make your circles a little bit smaller. You don't have to get too crazy with it. And then you'll slow it down and you'll begin to take it the other direction. So in yoga, we try to do the same things on both sides of the body, front to back, top to bottom, side to side, because we're naturally uneven. And so yoga helps us create a little more evenness, a little more balance in the body. And then coming back to that place of stillness for a moment, you're just going to reach your left hand out to your side. And you're going to find the space where you can reach without lifting your sitting bones up. So you want to stay rooted. So you could even take your block and place it underneath your forearm or underneath your hand. I've got very long arms, so I can touch the floor pretty easily. So once you get your hand in the place that feels comfortable for you, you're just going to lift that right arm up and over. So you're going to extend. So even though you're extending over the head there, keep rooting through the sit bones, and then roll the shoulders out of the ears. There they went again. They crept up by my ears. Roll them back down. And you could gaze up at the ceiling if you'd like, or gaze forward or down, just depending on what's happening with your neck. Just breathing here. And then same thing on the other side. So come on up for a moment, reset again, and then reach that right hand out. Find what feels good to you. And then once you get it there, you reach the other arm up and over. And really try not to let it drape here. Try to reach. Be strong in your reach. Roll the shoulders out of the ears, gazing up at the ceiling perhaps. And then coming back to center for a moment. And then we're going to take our hands, we're going to bring them together, we're going to interlace the fingers, push the palms away, and then inhale, lift those palms up to the ceiling, like the ceiling could rest on your palms. And then notice my shoulders crept up, draw them back down again. And then on your next out breath, begin to twist over to your right. Continue to reach up through the palms, draw the shoulder blades down the back, zippering up the belly, taking the tailbone down toward the earth. And then let's undo the lacing of the fingers for a moment and take that left hand outside the right knee. Take that back arm behind you or maybe on a block. And then we're just going to use those hands there to open up the chest a little bit more. So we try to sit up tall here. We open across the collarbones. There's no need to do anything super extreme with the neck. Just be gentle with yourself. And then we'll come back to center again. I'm just going to do a quick demonstration. So when I say to people to relace your fingers, we all have a habitual way that we interlace our fingers. I always put my right thumb on top. I'm now going to undo that and walk my digits one over. Now my left thumb is on top. I'll inhale, take the arms up, and then I'll exhale, twist over to the left. Now twisting sometimes can make it hard to breathe, so if you're having trouble breathing, you're twisting too much, back off. If it helps to close down the eyes and be in your body, that's okay. And then we're going to go ahead and take that right hand outside the left knee, left hand behind you, maybe on the floor or a block, depending on your arm length, your flexibility, and then roll those shoulders open. Sitting up nice and tall on the inhale, twisting a little more deeply on the exhale if that feels good to you. And then we're going to face forward here. I'm getting a little tired in my knees, so I'm going to extend my legs out for a moment. Oh, it feels so good. I'm going to give them a little shake. And I might point and flex my feet a few times. I might wiggle waggle them a little. And then whenever I cross my shins, I almost always put my right shin in front. So this next time, I'm going to put my left shin in front. So again, working both sides of the body evenly. So I'm back in my Sukhasana. I'm going to pull the flesh of the buttocks away from my sitting bones so I feel rooted. And then I'm going to walk my hands forward. All right, so what I'm trying to do here is keep my sit bones rooted in the floor, but keep a straight spine. And that's really tricky. Most of us think we have to fold over like this and get our forehead on the floor. Not true, I'm here to tell you. So you can come up to the tips of your fingertops if you'd like. Again, shoulders out of the ears. I like to use a block sometimes under my forehead here to make sure that I keep myself honest when I'm extending. You can stop here for a moment and breathe. Don't forget to breathe. Sometimes we hold the breath when we're doing something unknown or new. All right, so we hold poses, we don't hold the breath in yoga. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those legs out again, and give them a little wiggle waggle, yeah. And then I'm gonna come into my tabletop position. So tabletop position is wrists right underneath the shoulders, hips and knees in alignment, and I spread evenly through my fingers here. And I try to make my wrists be parallel with the front edge of the mat. And this is just a simple little stretch. We're gonna lift our chin as we drop our belly and roll the shoulders out of the ears on the inhale. And on the exhalation, we'll draw the belly button to the back of the spine, so rounding here. So a gentle flowing motion tying the breath and the movement together. And I like to get my feet in on the action as well. So when I'm inhaling into my cow posture, I curl my toes under. And when I'm exhaling into the cat, think of a scared Halloween cat, I flatten the tops of my feet on the floor. So you can do whatever you like. Everybody's foot structure is very different. Let's do one more round of that cat-cow. And then we'll come to that neutral spine. And when I say neutral, I don't want the belly dropping, I don't want the back rounding. I kind of want everything as level as possible here with the neck nice and long. So just think about gazing at the front edge of your mat. And then I'm going to walk my hands forward about a hand print. I'm still going to keep those fingers spread. I'm going to curl my toes under here, and I'm going to push the floor away with my arms, and I'm going to lift my bum up toward the sky. All right. Now, legs are going to be a little tight the first time you do this. So I recommend kind of pedaling out the feet a little bit. So you bend one knee deeply as you extend the opposite heel down toward the floor, and you just alternate. And if your shoulders are tight, you can turn the hands out just slightly. If the legs are tight, you can take the feet as wide as your mat, all right? And heels never need to touch the floor. That's just a suggestion, it's just a direction, doesn't need to happen, all right? I don't really need my feet to be quite that wide. Now the trick here, when you find your downward facing dog, your Adho Mukha Svanasana, you stay for just a moment. You lift that low belly up and in, you push the floor away, and then notice again the shoulders. So I'm gonna draw the tips of the shoulder blades together down the back. Did you see that? It's kind of like a turtle coming out of its shell a bit, yeah. And then you might nod your head here a little bit, you might shake the head, you might even draw circles with your nose if you're feeling tight. And then we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pick up my left leg today. I'm gonna point that toe really tall, and then I'm gonna maybe take that right heel down toward the mat a little. I'm gonna bend that left knee. Now, even though I'm on my two hands and my right foot, I'm going to try to spread my weight evenly across the palms. I'm going to let gravity do the work there on that leg, but if you want a little bit more, you want to hurry up the process, you could circle that knee in the hip joint as well. Now, some people want to get a little crazy and flip their dog. This is called Wild Thing, but not for the faint of heart. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to do that on the other side because I want to even myself out. So now I'm going to lift up that right leg, point the toe, get tall, reach my left heel down toward the mat, bending that right knee so that my right heel's moving toward my left buttock slightly. I'm going to circle that knee again in the hip socket perhaps, and then I'm going to take the Wild Thing, and then I'm going to come back to Down Dog. All right, we're going to take some lunges now because it's great for opening the hips. I'll inhale, lift that left leg up about halfway, hip level. Then I'm going to bend my knee underneath me. I'm going to move that left foot forward slowly so I engage my core. Set my left foot down. And what I'm looking for here is knee over ankle. I want my shin to be perpendicular to the floor. And if my hands are kind of back here by my heel rather than here, then my spine is longer too. So I'm going to draw back through that left hip crease, and I'm going to try to push through the ball of that right foot to take my leg to straight, but it never has to stay straight. If you're having trouble with this, you can always take that right knee down to the floor. All right, and then maybe the top of the foot comes down, or you could curl it, whatever works for you. We're going to inhale, come into this low crescent lunge. And then exhale, take the hands back down by the left foot. I'm going to my left knee back to meet the right one, and then I'm going to curl back up into my downward facing dog for a moment. Just breathing here. And I'm going to take that right leg, I'm going to lift it up about halfway. And then once again, I'm going to bend that knee underneath and step it forward. I'm going to get all my alignment points, knee over ankle, drawing back through the right hip crease. And then I might come up into a high crescent lunge on this side just for a change of pace. If I'm feeling a little wonky one day, I might put my hands on my thigh first, push my belly up, and then lift my arms up. But you could flow right on up into this if you wanted. And you try to keep that back leg straight, but again, if you can't get your belly zippered up and your tailbone down to the floor, you might bend that back knee a little bit more. All right, hands are going to come back down by that right foot, left knee to the floor, right knee to the floor. I'm going to go ahead and curl back up into my downward facing dog again. Always breathing. And then left leg lifts again. On the exhale, bend the knee, bring it forward, and then I'm going to seal that right foot down. And then I'm going to cartwheel my arms up into warrior two. And again, knee over ankle, shoulders over hips, arms going out from the shoulders, gazing out over that front middle finger. Taking a moment here, I'm really reaching strongly through my back foot. That's the brain of the pose, according to Iyengar, and I can feel it too. And I'm going to flip that left palm up. I'm going to reach it up to the sky. The right arm can trail this back leg. You can look up if that feels good for your neck. You could take that right arm behind your low back and reach around for the top of that left hip if you'd like. And then coming back to Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. I'm going to set that left elbow on that left thigh, and then the right arm's going to come up and then over. Now what happens here a lot is we kind of collapse into the shoulder, so push against it a little, resist. And if you want a little core work, you can reach that bottom arm forward. Ooh, it's a good one. Now the trick here is to keep that left buttock firmed underneath you and line it up with your left knee. So imagine you're going to have somebody come sit on your thigh. What are you going to have to do to make that happen? You're going to have to make it almost be parallel to the floor. Inhaling back up into Warrior 2. Breathing here. And I'm going to inhale, straighten that left leg. I'm going to take Utthita Trikonasana. So I'm going to draw my hips back slightly as I reach. I want length here and here. I'm going to take this left arm inside my calf. And then I'm going to stack my right arm up top. If it feels okay for my neck, I'm going to look up at that right thumb. If not, I'm just going to look forward. Never look down because it makes your chest collapse. Reaching up. And then inhale, come back up. Exhale, bend that left knee. I'm going to cartwheel the arms down, and I'm going to step back to my downward facing dog. I think I'll take the right side from the other side of the mat, just to make it a little easier here. So I'm going to turn it around, and to do that, I'm just going to take a quick Prasarita Padottanasana. I'm going to grab my ankles for this one, draw the crown of the head toward the floor, and then I'm going to come back up, and then I'm going to turn that right foot out. I'm going to just frame the foot for a moment. I'm going to bring my block in because I'm going to do some demonstrations with the block on this side. So I'm going to come into my lunge, and then I'm going to seal that foot down, and then I'm going to open it up to Virabhadrasana 2. So what I'm looking for here is that front ankle, that front heel is in line with the back arch. Okay? So if I were to come into this pose from here, I'd want my wrist right over my ankle bones. Hands to the hips. Turning that right leg out. I'm back into my warrior two. Flipping the palm up. Reversing the warrior, not losing the bend in that front knee here. Maybe there's a bind involved. And then back to warrior two for a moment. And then I'm going to reach that right arm to the thigh again and take that left arm up and over for that extended side angle pose. But there's another way I could do this. I could take my block and put it behind my right ankle and rest my right palm on that ankle bone, or excuse me, on the block. And my shin, my calf is supporting my right arm. And that's a great way to do this pose. And again, I can get my right buttock lined up with my right knee, and then I can open my chest, and I can reach my arm up and over. So just breathing here. So again, thinking length and length. And if you want a little core, you just reach that arm out. I forgot to do beach ball with triangle. We're going to do that here in a second. Inhale up. And the next inhale, we straighten the leg. Now I prefer triangle with a block. So I'm going to draw my hips back again. I'm going to reach my hand down to that block and draw it back behind my calf. All right. Now the problem with triangle is people really lock out this knee. So if your knee locks out, just bend it slightly. Once your hand is on that block, open the chest and then stack the arms. Don't forget to breathe. Now, if you want a little core work in triangle, think beach ball arms. Woo! It's a toughie. So my weight is in that ball joint of my first toe there, the major toe. And then I come back up, I bend the knee again, I might cartwheel those arms and come into downward facing dog for a moment. If I'm feeling ambitious, I could take a few planks. But I'm going to bring my knees down. I'm going to sit on my heels for just a brief moment, and I'm going to bring those feet around. And we're going to take bridge now. So in bridge, it's really important to try to keep the knee over the ankle. It protects the back. And the other key with bridge is to keep those feet close enough together. So I like to put a brick or a block between my thighs. And I squeeze that block so it doesn't hit the floor. And then I'm going to come on down to my forearms for a moment. And then once again, I'm going to check my knee and ankle alignment. I'm going to walk those feet back again. Sorry, I got to get rid of the bun while I do bridge. And I have really long arms, so my fingertips can kind of touch my heels here. Not everybody can. So just think about stacking again, knee over ankle. And then we're going to take 3 versions of bridge here. So I'm going to slide my shoulder blades underneath me, and I'm going to take robot arms. Now when you're in bridge, I don't want you to turn your head. Once you lift the pelvis, keep your chin in line with the notch between the collarbones. So imagine somebody's kind of pulling the top of your head here. The neck is nice and long. It's almost like you have a double chin, okay? So once you've got the elbows hugged in, the fingers reaching up toward the sky, you're going to inhale, push into the heels, and lift the pelvis up. So head, neck, shoulders all stay stable. It's just the pelvis reaching up, and I just turned my head. That was bad. So flesh of the buttocks here should reach toward the pits of the knees. So I see a lot of people sag like so. Big no-no, put your back at risk. So lift. And then when you come down, you scoop the belly. You slowly lower down bone by bone. Tailbone comes to the floor last. All right. Now, I'm going to take the block out for this next one. And I'm going to hold on to the mat. And I'm going to pull down and out like I want to rip my mat in half. I'm going to snuggle my shoulder blades underneath me again, and then I'm going to push into my heels and lift up. Staying here for just a couple breaths maybe. And then again, scooping the belly, lowering down. Now this version of bridge is the version that I was taught initially, and I love it a lot. So I'm going to snuggle the shoulder blades under. I'm going to show you how this works. I'm going to push into my heels and lift the pelvis up. Then I'm going to reach my hands toward one another. I'm going to interlace those fingers again, and I'm going to snuggle the shoulder heads underneath me a little bit. Oh, big chest opener here. And then the blade edge of my hand is resting on the mat. My arms are straight. I can use that as leverage to give a little boost to my pelvis as I lift up, pushing into the heels. And then when I come down, I'm going to leave my hands in this little formation, and then my tushy's going to come and kind of rest in this little basket. And then it really opens up my collarbones, my shoulders, my neck. It feels super good. And then I'm going to just go ahead and undo that, bring my sacrum to the mat. And then once I've done a big move like that, I'm going to hug my knees in toward my chest. I might rock a little left and right. This is called Apanasana. And then I bring my knees back in. I'm going to keep my right knee hugged in. I'm going to extend that left leg out along the floor. I'm connecting that heel with the mat. The foot is active, the leg is active, and I'm reaching my right buttock down toward that front edge of my mat while I squeeze that shin in. If you can't grab your shin, you just grab the back of your knee, okay? This is a great move if you have low back issues. And then I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to bring the left knee in. I'm going to extend that right leg out along the mat. Toes coming back toward the shin. Hip crease reaching down toward the front edge of the mat. And then for my penultimate pose here, we're going to do a little thread the needle or supine pigeon. So feet can be flat, knees bent. I'm just going to pick up my right ankle. I'm going to drape it on that left thigh here. And I'm going to keep that foot flexed again so I can protect my knee. And before I do anything else, I'm going to take the heels of my hands and gently push the thighs away, opening up those hip creases. And then I'm going to reach through. I'm going to grab the back of my left thigh or the top of my left shin, drawing that knee in toward the left shoulder. And I'm going to try to use my right elbow to push that right thigh away slightly. I'm not going to push the knee. I want to protect my knees at all costs. And then while I'm here in this thread the needle pose, I want to make sure my sacrum is on the mat. I see so many people lift up here, and that really doesn't do any good for anybody. So have the whole spine be resting on the mat. We always have to soften somewhere. And then we're going to set both feet down again. And before we go to the other side, we might do this windshield wiper action. This is also a great pacifier for the low back. And then I bring my feet a little bit closer together again. I cross that right thigh with my left ankle. And you might notice some differences from side to side. I know that I can't get this leg straight. So again, hands push against the thighs. I elongate here. And then I hug that right knee in toward the right shoulder. I push the left thigh away. I keep my left foot flexed. And I just try to soften somewhere as I keep my sacrum on the mat, head, neck, shoulders on the mat. And then I'm going to set that foot down. I'm going to put the other foot down. So there are a lot of different ways you can take Shavasana, the final resting pose. Probably the most traditional way to do it is just extend those legs out long on the mat, let the feet fall open, have your arms be at your sides with the palms up. And I try to tell people, let the arms come away from the body a little bit so that the armpits can breathe. When you've got your arms here, you're going to be tense. You're not going to be able to relax. And then once you get there, you just smooth out the brow. You soften the jaw. You loosen the tongue from the roof of your mouth. And you come back to your breath. The mind will begin to wander the minute you find stillness. So just acknowledge that the thoughts are going to come and go. And come back to your breath, working toward those smooth, steady, even inhales and exhales. And you're welcome to stay in your Shavasana for as long as you would like. A good 5-minute Shavasana is pretty incredible. But I'm going to go ahead and come out now. So as I come out, I bring a little gentle movement to my fingers and toes. I might wiggle, point, flex, circle, whatever. I sometimes like to draw my thumb across my 4 fingers. That's my favorite. And then I'm going to hug those knees into the chest again. I might stay here for just a brief moment, savoring the moment. And then if you're pregnant, you should always roll to your left side. But if you're not pregnant, right side is typical. So you could stay here for just a moment with one arm underneath you. It's like a little pillow. Eyes can be closed. You're kind of in this fetal position for a moment. And using the hands to push yourself up. Try to have your head come up last, but it's a work in progress. And then you might find your way back to Sukhasana, or my personal favorite these days is Virasana. It's hero's pose, so I'm sitting on my shins and on my heels. And I'm going to reach my arms out to the sides. I'll open my palms again. I'm going to circle my arms up to the ceiling. I might gaze up as I gather my palms together. I'm going to exhale the thumbs to the sternum here. This is Anjali Mudra, the angel seal. And again, I'm just going to bow my chin toward my fingertips for a moment. Always being grateful for the practice of yoga and the many benefits it brings to our lives. Being grateful for the beautiful space in which we practice. Being grateful for our bodies and the amazing things they do for us. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste.